Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Rahmadila Manaltani. In this presentation, I will explain about language and thought. Language is a symbolic tool that we use to communicate our thoughts as well as represent our cognitive processes. Language is a mirror of thought, and it is one of the ways we communicate our rich cognitive world. As Wittgenstein suggests, we may see the world within the confines of our language, and we think that way. Therefore, we can argue that the language we use not only facilitates the communication of thought, but also shapes and diversifies thought. We can talk about three different interactions when we investigate the complex relationship between language and thought. First, the existence of language as a cognitive process affects the thinking system. Second, thinking processes language, and language learning interacts with conceptual process that precede language use. Third, every spoken language can affect the thinking system. Research shows the importance of language, especially language that describes concepts in the emergence of cognitive processes. Although language and thought are closely tied to each other, the expression of thoughts is not always achieved in words. People who have speech problems can express their thoughts in other ways using nonverbal communication. Recent studies of action repetition and spatial concepts have shown that infants' universal and common language representation of actions productively change with mother tongue learning. For example, language uses preposition to express relationship between objects, i.e., at, under. However, language also vary how they use this relationship. One of the most significant studies shows that infants can distinguish between concepts expressed with prepositions such as hold, in, and support, on. According to the hypothesis of linguistic relativity, the language we use changes our perception of the world and shapes our concept. In short, language is not only used for communication purposes. In this view, people who speak different languages have different worldviews. For example, Russian and Greek identify shades of green and blue in detail, and people who speak this language can distinguish between them more easily and with greater speed. Another hypothesis about the relationship between language and thought suggests that language does not have a significant influence on the concept of thinking. According to this view, the language we use indirectly and or temporarily affects our cognitive process. Symbols specific to a language can only influence online thinking. When speaking, it is inevitable for people to use the ideas expressed in their language. However, recent research has shown that people who speak different languages focus on separate aspects of action have similar hand gestures that describe the direction of action. This result indicates that language does not always influence thinking.